This is how to plan a Macbeth response in 5 minutes. This is just one approach that I took when I sat the exam with you guys. So the first thing I did when I got my extract, obviously this is from Act 1, Scene 5 Macbeth, was to circle keywords in the question. So starting with the speech, explain how far you think Shakespeare presents Lady Macbeth as a powerful woman. Already I'm thinking about my context, so thinking about how I can use gender roles. I've underlined Shakespeare to remind me that I need to refer to him as a person and his methods, so that I don't forget that. As I go through the extract then, I'm just reading it through first. I'm quite familiar with this, but I just wanted to read it through to double check. I haven't really made many initial annotations. The whole purpose of this first read is reminding myself and starting to think of ideas. You can see now that my ideas are starting to come together. So I've circled the 3 comes. Obviously these are imperative verbs. I could have saved time if I wasn't drawing the arrows. And then I've just reminded myself of that subject terminology, imperatives. Remember, imperatives are command verbs. I've picked those and I've said that it's demanding come. I've noticed as well, I don't know if I managed to get this in my response, that this anaphora here is used at the start of each sentence. So come you spirits, this long sentence, come to my woman's breast, come thick night. So at the start of each of these sentences, we've got that anaphora. That's very, very commanding, but also I've said it's ironic. And I've mentioned that spirits are not God. Usually we use these words if we're kind of praying to someone. I've linked it contextually to the Lord's Prayer. And I'm also going to talk about the end of the play here, where she is weak. Obviously, if you're having to ask someone to do something, that's quite a weak thing. She's having to request help. So I'm going to link that to her assumed suicide near the end of the play, because that's obviously weakness. The question is powerful, and you can talk about alternative viewings, alternative readings. So if it's power, you can talk about weakness. If it's the theme of appearance, you talk about reality. However, because I have talked about weak there, I'm going to move on now to think about power. And the one that I noted when I first read it was under my battlements, that powerful possessive pronoun. So there I've just written that she claims possession of the castle, and I've done a little note to myself to talk about gender roles. And the reason why I've put a little one above that is because that's going to be my first paragraph, talking about these gender roles establishing the baseline. I'm quite confident on this one, so that's why I wrote that quite quickly. I'm also going to link that to in the play when she persuades Macbeth, when you durst do it, then you were a man, because that obviously links quite nicely to gender roles as well. Have a little think about this next one. I got a bit confused with my colours, so I just used a different one because I didn't want to, because I'm picking these kind of short embedded quotations. I'm not thinking about a massive long quotation then analysing it. I'm picking semantic fields, I'm picking imperatives to show the examiner that I can analyse a range of references throughout the whole source. Interesting, I've just noticed I haven't picked unsex me here, which is the most obvious one, so maybe I'm thinking about it a little bit too in depth. Here then I'm going to talk about the semantic fields of hell. I've said context witchcraft. Note on this plan I'm writing where I'm going to do the context. This is obviously ironic, and I'm going to link this to the play as a whole, and link to this kind of where power comes from. So I've said that men are actually controlled by women, which when you link this to gender roles is ironic. So that's why I'm going to do that one as 2. That's why I changed mine from it being paragraph 3 to paragraph 2, because I thought that that irony was very connected to that first contextual point of gender roles, and therefore I'm going to do that last the one I noted first as my 3rd paragraph, because I think talking about the end of the play, that weakness and how the first 2 are about power and that last one is about weakness, I think that that's important. Lots and lots of people didn't plan, so they kind of talked about Lady Macbeth in a very chronological order, in Act 1, in Act 2, in Act 3. And I think if you want these top bands, you need to conceptualise your response. You need to show that you can look at different areas. Now, I wouldn't write these down in an exam, AO1, AO2 and AO3, but I just did this for the purpose of the video. So AO1 is obviously about your text and task, and I've just written power there and underlined it to remind me that in my in every paragraph I should use that word power. So next to 1 I put power of Lady Macbeth, 2 power of women, 3 ironically the weakness. AO2 is my terms. I thought about what terms I'm going to use. So my possessive pronoun for my, I've already got imperatives and anaphora in that third paragraph and semantic field in that second one. So making sure that every paragraph has some subject terminology. AO3 context, I've already looked at gender roles and witchcraft, but what I hadn't done was had any context in that final paragraph. So I've just written there literary context, the Lord's Prayer. So that's how I plan, going through checking AO1, AO2, AO3, have I got them all before starting to write.